I'm going to start the recording. Good morning. We're going to start here shortly. This is the last of the morning presentations in agriculture, the agriculture science systems career field. And today we're going to be presenting on the BASF Plant Science, Ducks Unlimited Ecology Conservation and Management, as well as the Equipment and Engines Training Council on the principles of small engine technology. Emma Stanton is joining us. She did the previous two sessions. David Cambry will not be here. He did a wonderful job in the previous session. So if you have an opportunity and you missed those, please see the recordings later. What I would ask for you to do is in the chat is go ahead and put a little bit of information about yourself, what organization you're coming from, and the role that you serve in that organization. Emma has done a wonderful job of kind of tailoring some of her information to be more specific to what she think your needs may be. So that will be most helpful to us. And I am going to introduce myself. I guess I should have done that earlier. My name is Radisha Young Willingham. I am with the state support team, and I am here in Region 11, which is Central Ohio. It's Franklin County and a few surrounding counties. And then today we have Emma Stanton. I'm going to turn it over to her, and she can do a little bit of introduction for herself. Thanks,
Awesome.
Emma.
Thanks. So hi, everyone. My name is Emma Stanton, and I am the territory manager for the state of Ohio that represents ICEV as a whole. And we are a CTE curriculum company that also offers certifications nationwide. So that's really what we're focused on here today. And please feel free to interrupt with any questions throughout the presentation. If you want to drop those into chat, that'd be really helpful. I'll be kind of walking through a number of different things today, and I'd love to have this as interactive and as helpful as it could be. So definitely chime in if you need. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to just start by reviewing the certifications that we are planned, or we plan to speak about today, but also just give you a quick look at all of the ones that are approved in the state of Ohio. So bear with me one moment, as hopefully I'm sharing the right screen this time. Do you guys see change your lines here at the very top?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm actually just on the ICEV homepage right now. So if you were to go to icevonline.com, you're going to find yourself here. And what we offer specific to the certifications would be best found on our state resources page. So if I click here, you're going to find yourself on. I'm going to select Ohio specifically. So we can really see what's approved in the state of Ohio, not just what ICEV offers, but what has been approved by the state. So you're going to see a little summary up here at the top, but what I like to do is scroll down to the actual credentials. And the ones that we're looking at today are the BASF Plant Science Certification, which is 6 points, and also the Ducks Unlimited Ecology Conservation Management credential. And the third, which we've included in all of our presentations today, is this 2-pointer, the EETC Principles of Small Engine Technology. So if you want more information about any one of these certifications, it's really easy to learn more by clicking on these tabs. But you'll see we have the AMS, Food Safety Science, Meat Evaluation. We've got the Elenkos here, as well as Equine Management down here below. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. If we were to click on the BASF, we've got a button to request more information, to schedule a demo. You're going to see kind of a breakdown of what the actual certification covers. So here's a little pie chart here to give you an idea of what we are going to be teaching students and what they're going to take from the certification prep and the exam itself. 5% is crop production, 10% plant anatomy. We're going to look at plant pests, nomenclature here, processes, fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides, water resources, and plant genetics. And this just gives you a quick overview of what's being covered. You can also see the prep materials, explore that, study guides, and view letters of support. So there was a really great question in our last session. It was someone was asking, how do we know that this certification is going to help someone really get set up for a career after they are certified? These letters of support, I'm not going to click on them because it takes a minute for them to load, but definitely check these out on our website. These are written by people in industry to support the credential itself, say, we want to hire people that have this credential because it really sets them up for success in this particular job. So check these out if you're ever interested in sharing those with students. And as you scroll down, you can see Verify My Candidate here, empowering learners to career success. And if you're ever interested to know a little bit more, I'm sorry, let me go ahead and admit some of these people. If you're interested to know more about how to certify students, you can always go to our Learning Center and drop down all the way here to Hire Certified. I'm gonna go click this, and that should load up for us. So this tab is essentially the place for a teacher to come and get every bit of information they would need to really set up a certification program at a school. We want you to be fully prepared. So we're going to offer customized mobile flyers, certification handouts, why hire certified applicants infographic if you're trying to advertise in your community, press release templates. There's so much that's available here, lots of downloadable resources. And we also want students to have those physical certifications and even some plaques that we'll send out to schools that have a lot of students that are certified to really represent their success on campus. For employers, you'll see there's all these different sections, what we provide for you here. We break it down so you can kind of share these things out directly to employers, forms to fill out. It's really kind of a no-brainer how to use this here. There's also another button to view letters of support down here, and all of the social media graphics that might be valuable to use when students are trying to market themselves. So we offer the certifications on paper for students, but we also have these certificates that go on students' LinkedIn profiles, as well as in their signature from their email address. So it's something that can be really helpful and make them just a little bit more appealing in the application process as they go out and look for work in the real world. Another thing to mention about these certifications is we certify all of our teachers for free on ICEV. So if you're thinking of offering one of these credentials, you might want to be certified in it first, not just to get a sneak peek at the exam and really get a feel for what the students are going to go through as they're tested, but also just to have that certification yourself. We provide all the training for free to teachers in group settings or on one-on-one, and we provide the exam for you for free as well. So you can take a little bit of time to prepare for it if you need to, or you can just take the exam day of if you'd like. We certified a number of events like conferences, or you can actually take that exam virtually, just like you would offer to a student. So I'm going to go ahead and skip actually into our platform and show you how this would work from the teaching perspective. Let me get to my site here. So I'm logged into my Ohio State demo here. So it says welcome Ohio, but if this was your account, it would say welcome Emma Stanton. These are all of the courses that I've previously created. You might have 6 or 8 different classes that you're running at the same time. You'll notice some of these have these blue ribbons next to them. This blue ribbon signifies that this is a certification course. So we might be teaching students about drone theory and design. We might just have a general greenhouse course or intro to horse judging course. But these ones are actually aligned to the certification exam that we provide at the end of the course. So this morning we created an ASMA first hour. I think we also created this Elanco vet medical first hour course. I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch and recreate our BASF or our Ducks Unlimited prep class here. It's very simple to do. You're going to click new course / certification. You're going to be opt into a selection screen. I'll let that load for one more second. There we go. And by default, we are dropped into science because alphabetically, this is the first thing that we're going to see in our list of core subject areas. But ICEB is a all-encompassing CTE curriculum provider. So you might have students that are double dipping in both ag science and STEM, health science and ag science. Maybe they're doing a little bit of career exploration or business, marketing, finance, and IT. But where we're really focused today is ag science. I'm going to stick here. And under each of these different menus, you're going to see these tabs, which we call playlists at ICEB. We default into the course playlists, and this is going to show you at the very top here, a lot of the Ohio standards that were issued last year. We've just recently updated our curriculum and put OH23, that stands for 2023, and standards in Ohio. Every year that we launch new updates, you'll see an updated version come out. This one was last updated in 2021. So you'll see that indicated there. But these are different courses that are already completely set up for a teacher. So if someone's coming straight out of industry and walking into the classroom tomorrow, they could select this playlist and the entire semester is planned for them, okay? It's a huge time saver. It includes both physical or hard copies of activities, projects, and materials, assessments, and digital versions of those things, as well as videos. And we'll get into that as we get our course. So there's all of this that's available to you, which is a massive catalog of ag science curriculum. And this is all included. So if you were to decide to purchase access to the curriculum for ag science, you would have access to all of these different playlists, judging and leadership playlists if your students compete, CTSOs, subject area playlists, how to, different areas, ICEB testing platform certifications. These are the ones that have those blue ribbons next to them and align to the different credentials that are approved in the state of Ohio. So let's do the Ducks Unlimited Ecology Conservation and Management certification. I'm going to go ahead and select this playlist. This is actually the most popular certification nationwide that ICEB offers. So I'm going to call this Ducks Unlimited period 2. I'm going to click Add Course and then hit Save and Exit. Once I hit Save here, it's going to drop me back to my courses page. And that class I just created will always fall at the very bottom down here. You can drag and drop it to the top if that's helpful. But I can click it here, or I can click the word View, and it'll take me directly to the lessons of that course, okay? Over here on the right, you're going to see a pacing guide, your proctoring guidelines for the exam at the end of the semester, at the end of the year, and also accommodation requests. If you have any students that have any special needs, you can always make requests here. I'll show you what that looks like at a glance. We do need 2 days notice to accommodate a student ahead of a certification exam. Fill out this minimal little form here just to kind of let us know what the deal is. And then we reach out to you to make sure that you're set up and prepared for the exam for all of your students, regardless of their needs. I'll back it up here. Proctoring guidelines are really helpful, especially for someone who has never proctored an exam before. But other than that, you'll see this whole right side of the page. I call it the control panel. This is where you're going to invite students. It's where you're going to manage your roster. You're going to look at your course grades report. You might create custom assessments like a midterm or a final exam. You're going to see tons of settings that allow you to really tailor the class as a whole right here in the middle. You might want to manage the proctors, start proctoring this exam, or allow co-teachers to kind of come in and assist in the classroom. And as we guide our eye to the left here, you're going to see all of the lessons that are available to prep students for the test. Is this required for the cert? We check this box because we want you to know that this is going to be on the test. So if your students go ahead and take the pre-test ahead of time and they do really well on wetlands conservation and management, you might uncheck this as a part of your exam because you're thinking, we've already covered that, or they already know what they're talking about. We might not need to review that again. But at the very top, you're going to see every one of our certification playlists is going to begin with strategies for success. So this very first lesson has a section that really kind of guides teachers through success. We put that in parentheses here, certifications, success strategies for teacher. So we want to set you up with all of the knowledge ahead of time. This one's really mostly just for you. We're a visual media company. We really started out in VHS like 30, almost 40 years ago now, and moved on to DVDs and then online in more recent years. So you're going to see a lot of visual media presentations available in every lesson offered through ICEV. You can make these available to students, or if you uncheck this might be something that you would prefer to just review in class and present to the class as a whole. If I drop down this menu, you're going to see PowerPoints that kind of review success, tips for success, and then also the student-facing tips for success here. You'll notice we have transcripts that kind of read as we go through. There's also audio feedback. I have that all muted right now, so we're not too interrupted. But in every ICEV lesson, you're going to find these two tabs listed below. Instructional materials are going to be all of those paper hard copy versions of things. You're going to see handouts, activities, vocab lists, even exams that maybe you would prefer to give on paper because you're just trying to, spice it up. And then interactive assignments are what we offer digitally. So this one is minimal. This is the very first lesson, strategies for success. But what you'll see is there's a green star here. So these green stars are ones that you really want students to review before they go through and take the lesson. They're at the end of each lesson or unit that we offer in ICEV. You'll notice there are a number of options here, like, do you want to share it with your Google Classroom? Do you want to show question feedback, show correct answers after submission? Do you even want this to be visible to students? Because we do have copies of things between these two sections. We offer a number of activities on paper as well as digitally, and you really only want to do one of those in the classroom. So you want to make sure that you select which one is the one that you want to go with so students aren't seeing double the work on their side as well. Also, you can decide how many attempts you want students to be able to have access to by just changing this number here. So this is going to be very consistent across the board, whether you're in a certification course or just a general ag science course in the system. And I'll scroll back up here and actually go to a lesson that isn't just this introductory piece. If we were to scroll down here and find one, let's go to waterfowl. Probably got some nice imagery in those videos here. Now that we're in like a real lesson with ICEV, you're going to notice we have a lesson plan and a student's grades report button available to us. Now, if we click into the lesson, this is going to give you pacing, common core standards. We're going to see kind of an idea of what each class should be like. And this is assuming you have like a 50-minute class period, 55-minute class period. This is how we would break it down and pace it for you. Class 1, class 2, class 3, these are your objectives. And moving down to the bottom, we want to give you a summary of what lab activities are available in this lesson in particular, what projects, what are the things that are great for you to know as you're planning ahead for the next week. So this video here is the very first media that you have an option to review with students. This is available to them if you leave this box checked. And you'll see these are kind of chapters. In traditional learning styles, if you were using a textbook, this would be chapter 1, this would be chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, all that would be read as homework prior to coming to class. And so we just make this interactive and, involve the student a little bit more in the learning process. We also provide career interviews across the board in ICEV. So this was how we got our start as a company. We started in ag science in Texas in the 80s and started filming VHS tapes of all different types of ag science professionals talking about their career expertise on video, what they do in their job. So this one doesn't have a great interview picture, but most of them do. If you click into these, You can see we offer a variety of career interviews with people from all over the country.
And create.
They talk about what they do and how these lessons really are related to something tangible in the real world for a student. So my colleague David Cambry was asking a lot in the last session, what's the most common question that students ask in the classroom? The number one thing that they ask is, why am I learning this? How is this going to help me in the future? And seeing these interviews and connecting the concepts that they're learning with an actual career outside of school is a really great way to connect the dots with kids. And so we offer these across the board to really bring that point home and to give, maybe even inspire students to think of all of the different opportunities that there are in ag science and other CTE fields. So I'll scroll down here. I'm going to give you an idea of instructional materials. We also call these resources. You're going to see correlations, academic grading rubrics, video transcripts, action plans, different activities, projects, vocabulary handouts, worksheet answer keys, as well as worksheets for students to complete. And then we also offer all the assessments in paper versions as well, because you don't always want to do a digital exam. Sometimes you just really want to see what do they remember without any technology around them. And if we open up this tab for interactive assignments, there is some overlap here. So you might want to do the digital version here on paper instead of doing the activity online. But this is a huge time saver. So a lot of teachers are careful about which ones they decide to do on paper versus which ones they decide to do digitally. It just depends on how you want to manage your classroom and what sort of demographic you're working with. You have a lot of students that are working remote or maybe traveling to you one day a week for your class. You might do a little bit more digital than you would in person. These are the same settings that you saw on that last page I'd shown: attempt threshold, visibility to students, things like that, and the ability to share with Google Classroom. I do want to highlight, though, on the assessment section, these green star assessments are the ones that you absolutely want to run through with students. If you're going to skip any of these exams, this final assessment is a great place to kind of really assess that they've understood the concepts that are going to be covered on the certification exam. And we highly recommend that teachers review these ahead of time and just make sure that these concepts are the ones that are fully understood prior to the exam taking place. You can view the answer key here too. Okay, so I'm going to back it up a little bit, head back to our Ducks Unlimited period 2 class, and scroll down to the bottom. Is this very last lesson here is the certification review. If I click into that, you're going to be shown a massive PowerPoint. This is probably one of the bigger PowerPoints you've used in your life, but it's meant to be a study guide really for students to review maybe an entire year's worth of curriculum if you stretch this out. So as we skip through this, there's going to be a lot of review objectives, principles, a lot for students to go through. This is something that can be downloaded, printed out. It can be something that they even just go through and highlight and use digitally as a study tool. And students can return to this anytime they need to. Scrolling down here, you're going to see instructional materials like the PowerPoint student notes sheet, teacher notes, and a couple of assessments that just kind of help you study. Under the interactive assignment section, you're going to see a number of student notes sections as well. These are all digital options. And then the green star assessments. These are your essentially the pre-test that you take just before the certification. So if your students pass this green star assessment or this certification review assessment number 2 with an 80% or higher, you can feel really confident sending them in to actually sit for the proctored exam. Because this is going to let you know that they're ready to take it and they're not going to bomb it and waste the certification voucher that you've purchased for them. And this is a great moment to kind of talk about the pricing difference between the curriculum and the certification vouchers. So each exam or certification voucher is $40 per student, okay? And those can be used once, one time only, And then if a student needs to retake the exam, it'll be another $40. So you really want to make sure that they've taken the practice exams enough times and you feel really confident that they know they're doing in the exam. But access to the curriculum is a completely separate purchase. That is based on the number of student licenses that you need, but our minimum order is for 25 student licenses, and that is $1,500 for an annual subscription. So for 12 months, you have access to 25 student licenses. Those can be rotated around, just like you could hand a textbook to the next batch of kids that came into the classroom. But 25 students would cost you $1,500 for the year total. And as you order more, especially larger districts, ordering a lot more student licenses, we kind of have volume-based pricing. So that price can be adjusted as orders are different. But at a minimum, it's $1,500 a year. And then you would pay for how many certification vouchers you needed on top of that to test students at the end. So I'd like to pause here just for a second, make sure I don't have any questions in the chat. Oh no, there's not $1,500 for each class. So that's a great question. You have hundreds and hundreds of hours of curriculum available to you. We do not charge per class. We only bill per student. So a student can be enrolled in as many classes as they want. And you as a teacher have access to the full catalog of ag science curriculum. And if your school district purchase it, you might have access to everything, including health science and cosmetology and all these other things as well. Most teachers stick into their subject area, but the students, they have one license and that gives them access to everything that your school district has purchased in ICEV. It's just about what they've been assigned from a teacher.
Okay, so when you say for each course the district has purchased, so just clarify that, because I'm $1,500 for 25 students. How many courses do they have access to for those students?
Hundreds. So let me show you what I mean.
I'm sorry, it's
If you
cutting
were to
out.
purchase one subject.
Okay.
If you were to purchase the subject of ag science curriculum for 25 students, you would have access to everything that you see on this page. Okay, all of these tabs as well. So each one of these is a class. And then within the class is all of those lessons and handouts and all of it. It's very deep, actually. So as we're looking at this, this is a full catalog here. These are just the general course playlists. You're going to see all of these courses. This is all for those 25 kids for $1,500. It's all available to you. And then in addition to that, the judging and leadership playlists. These are all different courses. Subject area playlists. Completely separate. Ag Science is one of our largest catalogs because it's where we really began our business in the 80s. So, and these are specific to the certifications. These were all created separately for different purposes. There are some overlapping concepts, but all the curriculum is different. So it can be used in all different types of ways. But this is all accessible. If you purchase Ag Science for 25 students, you can have access to any one of these lessons in ICEV's platform. It's not just $1,500 for Elanco veterinary medical application certification. It's $1,500 for the entire Ag Science catalog for 25 kids. And then a lot of school districts, especially in the state of Ohio, because that's really where I work, they'll purchase a site license, which means they want access for 2,000 students for all of these subject areas. And then teachers really kind of have a free-for-all as to what they need to offer to students, and kids can access any number of subjects that they're assigned from different areas in CTE. But all of this curriculum is available to you. We don't sell anything by the course at ICEV. So it's by catalog. So you either buy everything or you buy specific subject areas. And once you have access to Ag Science, you have access to everything in here for that same price. Let me check and see if I missed another question here. How many hours of instruction does it take to complete a course like Ducks Unlimited? Great question. So On average, it's 150 hours. Can take more time, but that's what we estimate. And sometimes that can be pushed into a semester, and sometimes it can be stretched over an entire year, depending on how you pace your students through things. I'm going to back up here and go right into this. We do offer a pacing guide, so you can kind of get an idea. And this goes over objectives, but I don't think this shows the days that we would say. So all of our other courses offer days, but the certification ones do not. On a typical scope and sequence, you would see the number of days listed here as well for the pacing guide. For the ones that are certifications, go back. You're going to find that in the actual lesson plans themselves. So that's a little bit more work on your side here for the certification courses, but it is listed here. So you'll see 9 class periods to complete this specific lesson. Okay. And that's assuming you have a 55-minute lesson period with your student.
And Emma, will you repeat a little bit more again about the accommodations? I think it was mentioned kind of towards the beginning, but we want to make sure. I think I saw that there was a transition coordinator that was in there. So when we're looking at servicing the students with disabilities, as well as potentially those students where English is a secondary language, to speak to the certification accommodations available and the programming for them.
Sure. So I'm going to back up to my courses again, just to show you how easy this is to find. Oftentimes teachers, well, they'll know about the accommodations that they need to prepare students for, or be prepared for well ahead of time, but they have to scramble at the last minute to make sure the exam is ready. So when we are on our My Courses page, we can click into our Ducks Unlimited course. Now we're here. We've got proctoring guidelines to kind of give the teacher instructions, and then the accommodations requests. And even if you've left this down to the last minute, all we need is 48 hours before the scheduled exam. You can give us the candidate's name, school district, state, a little bit of information here about what those needs or special requests are. Hit submit. Our certification team is going to contact you and get you all set up and ready. This is something that we do on a constant basis. We have an entire certification department that handles this. So they will reach out to you before the exam and let you know what you need to do to accommodate your student. And the only thing that you really need to know is that this exam needs to be taken in one sitting, unless there's some special accommodation reason why they cannot do it that way. And we can also help you, but that is the one thing that's required for most students. We help students that have English as a second language, ELL students, and also students that just have special requirements, 504s. So you can read through this page really quickly and easily. You can fill out the form, but we want to make this accessible to everyone. Let me check the chat here. I think there was one other question earlier. Okay. Can you review what the site license gets the district and the cost? Okay. So what the site license gets the district is everything except for certification vouchers. Those are purchased separately. And just to remind you, cert vouchers are $40 per student. Those do not expire. They can be purchased in advance. You could purchase 500 cert vouchers and those will roll. Oh, they're like rollover minutes. They'll go over to next year and the year after if need be. Whereas we were to site license with ICEV, let's say we want all curriculum and all these different course area subjects, we have flexibility to offer the same exact platform, the same consistency. All of our lessons, even though there's different content across the board, it's all structured the same. So an ag science teacher could teach a cosmetology teacher how to use ICEV and really set them up for success in the classroom, because just the content is what's different. And offering that kind of consistency in a school district is great because we reach middle school students all the way through early adult learners, something that is really helpful for that consistency across the board. It can be really easy and familiar for students to jump in different areas. So these are the different subject areas that we offer at ICB. We really focused on ag science today, but these are all very popular in the state of Ohio. A lot of people are using health science to prep for the STNA. We're seeing a lot more teachers using law, public safety, corrections, and security this year. And there's a lot of interest in architecture, construction, transportation, and manufacturing. The big push, I think, this year has been the drone technology that we launched last year. That's been made available in ag science, architecture, construction. I think it's also in law, public safety and corrections. I'm trying to think where else the drone one is available. STEM. Kids seem really interested in that drone technology lesson. So I'm being certified at the, I think it's 107, some drone 107 drone technology. I forget the exact name of that certification. I'm gonna have to look that up, but that's a huge new one that seems of interest to students now. But what you do, you get access to everything, and we do our pricing based on student volume. So the more that you order, the lower the price per student gets. And full access means unlimited access for any number of teachers. We actually do not charge for teacher access. It's not a part of our pricing model. So you can have any number of teachers have access to this. And you just let us know how many student licenses you need. And we will give you full access to all of that curriculum that you see here in this dropdown. And it's all just as deep and wide as what you see here for ag science. And the pricing does vary based on volume. So it could be, you could be looking at anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 for an order, depending on how big of a school district that you're working in. Or, I've seen some site licenses for smaller school districts go for maybe $5,000. Just depends on how much you're ordering and what your needs really are. But if you're interested, definitely send me an email, and I can always send you a quote. There's no real obligation with that either. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. There's no harm in window shopping. I think there was a question I missed earlier, though, that someone had asked. Oh, show us the notes. Okay, so I love actually getting into the nitty-gritty stuff. We didn't have a ton of time today to review every little thing, but the cool stuff is actually seeing this, the stuff that teachers would actually use in the classroom. So I'm going to go in and say, let's go look at grasslands here. So here's the digital media presentation. We've got all these interviews. You see this is consistent across all of our subject areas. All these different career interviews are in every section. But when we scroll down here and look at the instructional materials, maybe you want to actually see what some of these look like. What was the question? Let me make sure was it one of these activities? What was someone wanted to see? Let me read the question. Show the notes. Okay. Let's find one that is notes. Let's go back then. I think this might be for one of the review courses we want to look at. I'll go down to this one. Okay, so let's look at the student notes here. And again, this is a PDF that's meant to be printed out. Maybe a way for students to still participate in note taking while not having to write down every single thing. To me, this looks like a traditional study guide that I would have used in high school myself. And do we have any other specific questions or anything that you guys really wanted to see or were curious about? I know we covered a lot today. Sometimes it's longer, but I could also highlight a few other of the documents that we offer here. If I was in another lesson, what our activities look like. We offer those grading rubrics, games. So this is like a typical activity that we would offer. We give instructions or directions to the students, some sort of interactive piece, Q&A. This is all available to be printed at home for the students or something that you could provide in the classroom too, if you would prefer to print it out with your print budget. So this is just one example of the dozens of activities and projects that are available in each course that we offer. We do not have the OSHA cert. I would love if we did. Everybody asked for that one, but not currently. But I will wrap it up by just saying, there is a site here that shows you everything that's approved in Ohio. I'm gonna just drop that in the chat so you can look yourself. These are the ones that ICEV proctors online that we post for $40 per voucher and that are approved in the state of Ohio. Okay, we do offer more than what you're going to see on this list, but they might not be approved yet in the state. Okay. We also do certification prep for certs that we don't even offer on our website. So maybe there's a certifying body that's very protective of who's proctoring the exam. Let's see if I can find it here. There's a section. Okay, so these are all the different certifying bodies that we prepare students to sit for exams, okay? Some of these are not ones that we proctor on our site, but we offer the curriculum to prepare students for these, okay? So if we're looking at, NACI does a ton. They do a lot of health science ones. You might want to narrow it down by subject area. Let's say we really want to know what we can do with health science. You'll see all of those listed up here. Health assisting exam, medical assisting, or actually these are all, let me just go ahead and remove that filter there. You'll see all the different ones that we align to nationwide, but the student would actually go and sit for the exam with the certifying body and not with ICEV. So with the curriculum purchase that you have with us, you've got all the prep material that you would need to prepare the students to sit for this exam, and they would just go to sit for that themselves separately. And there's quite a lot here.
Yeah.
So this would be helpful to mention too. There's a variety of other things that we don't sell on the website outside of just the curriculum, but we prepare students to find success in. But if there are no other questions, I'd be happy to hand it back over to you, Ms. William.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Thank you. Emma has been with us all morning doing multiple sessions. And I posted earlier on the website, our Google site that has today's event. So the website that she mentioned before, that link is available in there as well as some other materials. So definitely see those. And she provided her email address as well. My email address is available on the website. So if you have something specific you want me to find out about, I certainly welcome your feedback. And speaking of feedback in the chat, I've also posted the link for today's session as well as the event, overall event. today's session, you can get a certificate for each session. And we're asking you, even if you don't need the certificate, to please provide us feedback. We like to make these sessions the most informative and valuable to you. I'll put up the links for those. And if there are no other questions, I'm going to thank you for today. Keep in mind, these have been recorded and will be available probably sometime by early next week. So thank you again for joining us. The ag field has done a wonderful job this morning. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone. I'll stick around for another minute here, just in case there's any straggler questions to follow up on.
Emma, could you put the link to the page that has all the additional certifications that you have curriculum to prepare students for? The one that you just,
Yeah.
one of the last ones you just
Sure,
went to.
yeah. Yeah. We've ton of prep content for things that we don't necessarily post on our site.
Thank you.
No problem. I think that might have been filtered, but that's okay. I'm sure you can click around.
Thank you all, and I hope to see you in the sessions this afternoon.
Have a great morning, guys.